Hello. What's up? Today we're going to be talking about the removal of Mega Evolutions and Z moves from Pokemon Sword and Shield. Sorry, actually, you know what? Before we start this, I never know which way to move so that I'm in the frame. There's probably a better way of doing this, but I don't know what it is. But, you know, I think in order to watch this video properly, we're going to try something new. You know, we're experimenting with YouTube right now. We're seeing, like, what works well, what doesn't work well. So everyone, please take a second, stand up and stretch. You know, I want everyone to be really feeling warmed up for this video. So, yeah, everyone feeling good? Cool. Okay, and I'm just gonna start the video off with this. Guys, if we can get 1,000 likes on this video, right now, I will clap in the next video. I know it seems like a big deal, I know it seems like a stretch, but I hope the reward is worth it. Anyway, let's jump into it. Why is that a YouTube thing? Where's my water glass? Anyway, Mega Evolutions. Let's talk about them. So, basically, in Generation 6, this new concept known as Mega Evolutions were introduced. There was a bunch of Mega Pokemon throughout the gen. You can see them all here in front of me. And they ended up being pretty polarizing Pokemon for a number of reasons. Obviously, the way that it worked is you were only allowed one Mega Evolution per game. It was a permanent change, or once you activated it in your battle, it was a permanent shift of the Pokemon's form. It was a form change, essentially. And some of the Pokemon became extremely powerful. Mega Charizard Y saw usage in 2014, 2015, 2018. All the formats pretty much that it could be used in. Mega Blastoise wasn't that great. Mega Venusaur had a run. I won a regional with it. It had a bit of other success. Mega Alakazam, I actually believe, won a regional. Did Snake win regional with Mega Alakazam? Mega Gengar won the World Championships at least once. Got second in 2018. Yeah, won the World Championships once. Kang. Mega Kangaskhan, when it was first released, saw a ton of usage. Like, it was so dominant. They originally released Mega Kangaskhan with Power Up Punch, which might not sound like a big deal. Power Up Punch isn't in of itself that strong. It's a one stage of attack boost for a 40 base power fighting move. But with Kangaskhan, because of its ability, Mega Kangaskhan's parental bond, it would give 2 stages of increased attack. So there was a lot of times where, thanks to the pressure of Fake Out, opponents would protect and you could Power Up Punch your partner because it wasn't that strong. Amoonguss was paired with Kangaskhan because Fake Out plus Spore is very good, as well as Rage Powder plus Power Up Punch. Kangaskhan's power in general was just, like, so overwhelming. Mega Gyarados won the World Championships. Mega Aerodactyl saw some use on gimmicky teams. The Mega Mewtwo's had a little bit of use. Mega Steelix was the best Pokemon. Mega Tyranitar had some usage as well. Mega Swampert was used occasionally, more so in singles, I believe, than in doubles. Same with Mega Blaziken. Mega Blaziken had some use in VGC, but not much. Mega Gardevoir won Nationals at least once. US Nationals at least once, excuse me. Mega Sableye wasn't that good, but had some usage on teams. Mega Mawile actually ended up being huge in 2014, and it had a bit of usage in 2019 as well. Surprisingly so, almost. It was incredibly powerful in 2014 and formed half of the Gothitelle Mawile combination, which kind of took the format by storm towards the end. Mega Medicham got second at Nationals this year. There was a bit of Mega Manectric usage kind of scattered throughout. Mega Banette won regionals. Mega Salamence and Mega Metagross were 2 of the best Megas. Mega Salamence especially won the World Championships in 2018 and 2019, I believe. Yeah. And fifth, so let's see. 15 was Kang, 14 was Gyarados, 16 was Gengar. Yeah. 17, none, and then, yeah, I've already covered 18 and 19. Yeah, so Mega Metagross won US Nationals last year with the Tapu Lele Metagross team. Mega Rayquaza, Mega Rayquaza also won the World Championships, one of the best Pokemon ever. Mega Lopunny actually had some usage this year. Mega Lucario won Senior Nationals this year. Mega Lucario's had a bit of usage throughout. Mega Gallade actually got a little bit of use recently, got second at a regional. And Mega Diente wasn't allowed. So basically, that's a quick like overview of all the usage. Really quick, let me just turn the music back on. Cool. So that's a really quick overview of all the usage of the Pokemon that were used throughout. So basically, in short, Charizard, Mence, Metagross, Gengar, Kangaskhan. Those were some of the best. I may have missed a couple, but I just talked about them, so it's fine. While the others had a bit of usage, Gardevoir in 2015, Mawile in 2014, for example, where those Pokemon had to be respected. Gardevoir had some usage in 18 as well, but didn't feel as powerful. For the most part, there was a couple Mega Pokemon that really outshone all the rest. And although some others, like, had niche uses, for example, Mega Venusaur, for the most part, Mega Pokemon, it really felt like, unless you needed a very specific role that only a certain Mega could do, or you wanted to be creative, a lot of Mega Pokemon kind of didn't get the chance to shine. For example, Mega Beedrill, Mega Pidgeot, Mega Alakazam, Mega Slowbro, Mega Pinsir, Mega Aerodactyl. The Mewtwo's were okay at best. Ampharos, Scizor, Heracross, Houndoom, Sceptile, even Blaziken and Swampert, I'd go so far as to say, like, almost every Mega on here didn't really get the chance to shine because in Gen 6, when Kangaskhan was Kangaskhan, it was so powerful. And a lot of, like, these other Megas, like Mega Sceptile and Mega Houndoom, like, what they offered your team was just so... It just paled so much in comparison to what Mega Kangaskhan would offer your team, which was the ability to sweep, good bulk, decent speed, and fake out pressure. Like, the power, bulk, and support options, and sweeping potential, and priority. It ran Sucker Punch in Gen 6. It just was so much better than what a lot of these other Pokemon could offer that a lot of them ended up kind of being left by the wayside, like poor Mega Camerupt and Mega Sharpedo, right? And obviously, not every Pokemon is going to have usage, right? Like, if you have a trio of Pokemon, right? Like, Zapdos is going to be used more than Moltres is going to be used more than Articuno, right? Or Moltres and Articuno are both kind of left in the dust, right? So you don't expect every Pokemon to be equally as good. Not all Pokemon are created equal. But I would say that for Mega Pokemon, it felt very top-heavy. That was my impression, at least. And to be fair, in Generation 7, they did a pretty good job of weakening the Megas so that more of them felt viable. They took away Power Up Punch from Kangaskhan and weakened Parental Bond. That was honestly one of the smartest nerfs Game Freak has ever done. So I want to actually say props to them for that, because Kangaskhan they left it good enough to still be used, but they took away what made it so overwhelming and so centralizing. Kangaskhan, all of 2014, to me, felt like, how do I beat Kangaskhan? Like, that's honestly what the world's metagame felt like. It was just people being like, okay, what do we do against Kangaskhan? And that, like, yeah, and part of the reason Kangaskhan didn't do well at Worlds, I believe Marcus was actually the best placing Kangaskhan at Worlds 2014, Mega Kangaskhan, and he was top 16. There was no Mega Kangaskhan in top 8, as far as I remember. So Kangaskhan was super centralizing, and you could look at 2014 results and be like, okay, well, Kangaskhan wasn't that good, but in actuality, it was very good. It was just very prepped for, and people were worried about people prepping for it. So, and Aegislash helped a little bit, but it was nonetheless, anyone who says Kangaskhan was not centralizing in the early years, 2014, 2015, of its release, is wrong, in my opinion. I think Kangaskhan was so centralizing. Yeah, and so basically, like, they did weaken some of the Megas, right? They weakened Kangaskhan, they weakened Aerilate and Pixelate, a little bit with Ferments and Gardevoir. I think Gardevoir was especially problematic, but it was a little problematic, I think. They did not weaken Gengar Shadow Tag. I don't believe Ghost types. I believe that switch was in the Ghost type switch was earlier. Shadow Tag Ghost type switch was earlier. But yeah, so basically, the point of this video is I have two purposes. The removal of Mega, removal of Z-moves, and what is that going to do for the game, and is that good? So, with the removal of Megas, I think that's going to be really good for the game, and I'm really excited about it. If you've been playing VGC for a while, you've heard people talk about kind of like the golden formats of 2012 and 2013. A lot of us old heads who played back then feel strongly that those were some of the best formats. I personally hate 2013, but I think that was mostly because of my style and because I was bad, more so than, like, the format was bad. And 2012 is, I don't think I've ever heard someone complain about 2012, because that was an incredible format. And one of the hallmarks of that format was that there were no Megas, there were no Z-moves. We had Gems, but, and Gems were problematic in their own sense, and I love Gems, but I'm glad they're removed, personally. But yeah, with the removal of Megas, I think and Z-moves, I think, other than Gigamax, which hopefully isn't going to be too overpowered, we have a chance to move towards a format that's more like that. And people loved that format, because while not all Pokemon are created equally, a lot of the time, like, in restricted formats, and to a lesser extent with Megas, and even to an even lesser extent with Z-moves, when you're playing Pokemon, a lot of the times it feels like Megas and you know, restricted Pokemon sometimes make it feel kind of like it's a game of chess where the Mega or the Primal or the restricted Pokemon or the Z-move user is like the king, and you have to protect it and get into the right position and then win from there. Although that's not what you do with the king. That's more, well, yeah, you understand what I'm saying. Like, you have to protect the Pokemon, and it becomes like a bunch of supporting Pokemon around like your stars, which are your Megas and your restricted Pokemon, and sometimes your Z-move users. And with the removal of those, like, I think that could be really exciting for the game and really kind of force us into a new style of playing Pokemon, especially if other standards like the Tapus are removed. Like, obviously there's still going to be a metagame, no one's arguing about that, but With the removal of Megas, I think that could be really, really, really interesting for the game and let a lot of other Pokemon shine that the Mega Pokemon were keeping down. So, I guess in short, my argument is that Mega Pokemon, although they're cool, although there actually is a good bit of them, I mean, we were looking through this list earlier, you can see there's actually like a fair bit of Pokemon here. The majority of them aren't good enough. Like, they're just frankly not good enough, and while the designs are cool and the concept is cool, Mega Pokemon in 14, 15, 16 were dominated by just a few of them who were very, very good and outshone the rest significantly. And although it improved in 18 and 19, it was really only 18, and even then, like, they weren't as overpowered, but, and there was more room for creativity, but there was still, like, a lot of Pokemon that were left behind, and it still was pretty top-heavy. Like, yeah, like, there wasn't that much creativity in the Mega usage, and so, the fact that now we might be moving into a format where there aren't, let's say, 5, 6 Pokemon that you have to take one of them on every team, or you're really, like, handicapping yourself. Not that you ever have to do that, but you know what I'm saying. A lot of teams fell into that pattern just because you needed a really good reason not to use them, and the fact that we're removing these super top-heavy Pokemon, I think could be really good for the game. I don't really have that much plan to say about Z-moves. Z-moves don't necessarily struggle from the same problem of Megas that, which is that, like, there's only a few that are used. Z-moves, for the most part, are used pretty universally. You either use them as, like, a super strong stab attack most of the time, or a solid, like, coverage move with more bias towards the former. Like, for Insignium Z and Mimikyu Z, that, like, also counts as super strong stab attack just for the purpose of, like, one very powerful move, basically turning a regular move into a super, like, a neutral target attack into a super effective attack effectively for a lot of moves, or just giving you a strong single target option in the example of Earthquake and Garchomp. And yeah, it's like some Pokemon ordered coverage moves just to hit things that they were weak to. I didn't like Z moves. I never liked Z moves. I think I'm honestly really glad they're gone. And I think that's really good for the game. The first thing is that they added a level of unpredictability that Pokemon didn't have before. In Generation 6, for example, if you were playing against, like, a Heatran and you had a Water type out, there were only certain things that you had to worry about, but for the most part, it was, like, having, like, it was less, like, I guess, like, you were less at risk of running into, like, a weird move, a weird tech, and just getting blown back. For example, like, Tapu Lele, you have a Steel type out, and they would use Z Focus Blast, or yeah, like I said, I have, like, my Milotic out, or let's say Politoed or something, with a little bit of chip, and my opponent is a Heatran. I don't have to worry about Z Solar Beam, right? I don't have to worry about Z Focus Blast from Tapu Lele onto my Stack Attacker, right? Or Z Focus Blast Lunala going Incineroar. And, of course, in theory, while it's cool that, like, Z moves allow Pokemon to beat their targets, or beat their counters, beat the Pokemon intending to counter it, I think it actually is pretty bad for the game because, like, a lot of times Z moves, like, these wacky Z moves will be in places you don't expect, and you can't realistically cover for the possibility of every weird Z move in every situation. So a lot of the time it comes down, it feels like to me like it's more information based. And while, like, of course Pokemon is an information based game and I don't have a problem with that, it just Z moves felt a little bit too volatile for me. And yeah, I mean, my other problems with Z moves is, like, they accelerate the pace of the game in a way that I don't think is necessarily healthy. Like, there was a couple really powerful Z moves in each format, like Tapu Koko Electrium Z, Tapu Koko Fairyum Z to a lesser extent, and then Garchomp Groundium Z in 2017. 2018 I'm blanking a little bit on. I know Landorus ran the Z move, although frankly 2018 I didn't feel like Z moves were that problematic, but I also, like, I don't know if I was good enough at 2018 to really, like, speak like confidently on it, but yeah, like, just like these single target, again, it's to a lesser extent than Megas, but I still feel like it shares the same problem of like, oh, here's this, like, super powerful move, and I have a move that if I target it right and I predict it right, and I can land it in the right slot, I can get a KO. Like, Tapu Koko Electrium Z. If you launch it at the right time, or you launch it in the right position, you can get a KO in almost any situation. Like, barring, you know, Amoonguss, Garchomp or something. But if you position it right, you can always get a KO. And I just feel like, I personally, and this is my personal bias, didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that it felt to me more of a guessing game, right? Because a lot of the time, when and where you launch your Z move is more of a player read, and of course, like, the better players can do it in a way that is more, like, they can launch it in a way that's safer and is less prediction based, but at the end of the day, a lot of it felt like it came down to trying to bait out the Z move, trying to position around the Z move, trying to guess where the potential Z move was, and just be based on the power of the item. For example, if I'm playing, let's say there were no Z moves, I don't have to play as carefully around Tapu Koko. Like, of course, okay, it could be Specs, right? That's kind of scary, but, like, once I know it's Specs, like, I know that none of my Pokemon are at risk of being O-code. And yeah, like once I know its specs, I can play around it better. So then like the damage that they'll do if its specs isn't that big of a deal. If it's Assault Vest, like okay, that's a bit problematic, but like I'll know after the first attack based on the damage done and based on the move choice and whether like how they play it and how they position it, not a big deal. But now you add in Z moves, right? And you're like, okay, it's turn 1, I've got this Pokemon out. If this Tapu Koko has Electrium Z, or if it has Tapunium Z with a faster partner, like I could just lose my Mon turn 1, and that's really scary. And there's not that much you can do to play around that, right? Like the biggest example is Porygon Z in 2017. It could be Normalium Z, which meant you had to play super defensive and try and scout for the Normalium and see, okay, like is this Z Hyper Beam just going to OHKO one of my Mons pretty much regardless of typing unless it's a Ghost type, right? You have to play very differently against that versus Z Conversion, because if you're playing defensively around Porygon Z's Normalium Z Hyper Beam, and then they Z Convert, and now like you've protected to try and bait out the Hyper Beam, and they Z Convert, and they just like, I don't know, sweep you from there because Electric type Porygon Z and Electric Terrain with Thunderbolt OHKO's like everything. And +1 because of adaptability, like that's one of the strongest Pokemon in that format was +1 Porygon Z. And if you guess wrong and if you're just at team preview, like you can make smart assumptions, but at the end of the day, like if you like, you can never really be sure what someone's thinking or like the full reason for why someone's done that from team preview. You can never be sure. You can make good guesses, but like I didn't like that if you guessed wrong once on a Pokemon like Porygon Z, where again it could be Scarf, it could be Specs, it could be Normalium Z Hyper Beam, it could be Normalium Z Conversion, or it could be Trick Room with Normalium Z Hyper Beam. And like playing around that wrong meant like you basically lost the game because oftentimes it would do too much damage to be recover from, or it would set up and sweep with Trick Room or Z Conversion. So I thought Z moves were a little bit too volatile. I didn't like them. I didn't like that they hit through Protect. I remember I OHKO'd Gastrodon through Protect once with Tapu Bulu's Bloom Doom. That was fun. And yeah, while they set up for a couple goofy and interesting situations, I think overall for the health of the game, for the type of game that I personally like to play, my subjective, not objective measure of why I like Pokemon and the parts of the game that I enjoy, I'm personally really glad they're gone. I think they open up a lot of options for different items. And yeah, for just like a whole different way of playing the game, and I'm really excited that we have such a what seems like a major shift in the metagame and in the way that we're playing this game. So this video went a little longer than I intended to. I maybe should have done 2, broken it up into Megas or Z moves, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. Again, 1,000 likes and I will clap in the next video. Here's a little preview. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next video. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. We're trying to really get ourselves hyped up for Sword and Shield. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Wait, okay, I can do this. Why do I always do it wrong? Peace.